Hello everyone, Happy New Year to you all. 2022 has been a special year for me in this YouTube channel. Over the past year I've seen the channel grow from very few viewers and subscribers to now having over 200 subscribers and over 160,000 total views. Coming into 2023 my goal is for the channel to grow even further, hopefully aiming to reach 1,000 subscribers. A large part of the growth that I've seen has come from my shorts which focus on tips and tricks, and to round off 2022 I thought it would be a good idea to collate my 10 favourite tips and tricks into one video for you all to enjoy. These tips will range from the extremely useful to the slightly absurd but pretty fun. Some of these tips will be very champion specific, whereas others can apply more broadly. And remember, these are just my personal favourites, but you'll be able to find more tips by diving into my League Shorts playlist. Let's get started with number 10. League of Legends has an inbuilt notes function, and you should use it. It always surprises me how few people know this exists. When I'm taking the game seriously, I always find it helps to take notes. And these notes might be related to matchups or things that I want to improve for future games. I even used to keep a stack of paper on my desk to physically write down notes. But by far the easiest way that I find to keep notes now is to use the /note command in the chat box. This will save down what you type to a text document which is generally stored in your League of Legends folder. Moving on to number 9. Nautilus can land his Q over terrain. This one is super counterintuitive when you initially think about it, and it's really interesting that it's possible. This is very niche and very champion specific of course, but an example of where this might be useful would be when a Fiddlesticks is channeling his ultimate over a wall, or when a ranged champion is using some kind of narrow terrain for protection. Number 8. Qiyana has some interesting W interactions. Being a champion so heavily linked with terrain, it should be no surprise that the changes to Summoner's Rift made by Dragon impact Qiyana. The most interesting of these for me is that when Ocean Dragon has transformed the map, several puddles will appear around the jungle which will be treated as river for the purposes of Qiyana's W. As a bonus piece of information, these puddles also trigger the water walking rune, giving any champion that takes it bonus damage and movement speed. Lastly, on ARAM, it initially appears that there's no way for Qiyana to activate her water W, but don't fear, the health points are actually treated as water. Number 7. Recall can be used for more than getting back to base. On certain champions like Ryze and Poppy, the recall button can be used to interact with their ultimates. For example, if you're mid-recall when Ryze's ultimate finishes channeling, you won't get teleported. This can be used to stop yourself taking a bad portal after you've already cast it and without burning flash. On Poppy, you can use recall while channeling your ultimate to cancel the ability. Cancelling the ability this way will put it on a significantly reduced cooldown compared to if you just use it. This could be useful if an enemy dies after you begin to channel your ultimate, or if the enemy flashes out of range. Moving on to number 6. Nocturne's W is great for killing objectives. Nocturne's W is a spell shield that can block one ability and gives Nocturne a huge burst of attack speed if he successfully does so. This is commonly used against champions, but it's also important to remember that monster abilities also break the spell shield. This means you can use the shield while fighting Dragon, Herald or Baron in order to get a massive attack speed boost, helping to quickly secure the objective. Into the top 5 now. At number 5, I've decided to put every flash combo from my extensive list of flash combos video. This is a video that I spent a huge amount of time on earlier this year, and it's a piece of work that I'm extremely proud of. The video includes flash combos for over 100 champions, so hopefully anyone watching can learn something new. I'd really encourage you to check out the full video, link in the description. Number 4. Vi with Galeforce is basically Blitzcrank. Buying Galeforce on Vi doesn't seem like the smartest move on paper, but it does produce one of the most fun interactions in the game. By using Galeforce immediately as you make contact with your Q, you're able to drag enemies in your desired direction. This is pretty low on the useful scale, but I'll tell you now, it's absolutely hilarious to get a kill with this mechanic. Disclaimer, I am not responsible for the LP you lose while trying to make this work in your ranked games. Number 3. Rift Herald is good for more than just demolishing towers. Many mobile champions can use Shelly as a tool for getting into the Baron Pit, whether that be to escape being chased or to get around wards. There are a number of champions who can do this. All you need is a ranged ability that can begin the fight with Herald and a dash that you can target her with to get over the wall. This works because when a fight is initiated with Herald, she will charge towards the initial location of the instigator. Examples of champions that this works on would be Illaoi, Irelia, Pantheon, Rengar, Yasuo and several more. Moving on to number 2. Diana can dash more than you think. Diana is a melee damage dealer, which means she wants to stay close to her targets. Within her kit she has a dash that normally has a pretty long cooldown. However, if you dash to a target marked by your Q, then you get a reset on that cooldown. Doing this normally resets any further Q marks you have on enemies, meaning you could only dash twice. But there is actually a way to squeeze in a third dash. To do this, you have to land your Q on multiple enemies. While the Q is mid-air and before it hits your first target, dash to your first enemy. This will reset your dash. Then you can cast your dash again on a different enemy that was marked by your Q. This will reset the dash cooldown again, leaving you with one more dash. This can properly confuse enemies who assume you only have 2 dashes in your locker. And last but certainly not least, number 1. You can walk between tier 1 and tier 2 towers without being shot. This one blew my mind when I first learned of it. If you're on blue side, you're able to dodge attacks from the red side tier 1 and tier 2 mid lane towers. Unfortunately, it doesn't work the other way around. This only works on champions with a unit size of 55 or lower, which includes mostly Yordles, for example Amumu, Teemo and Ziggs, but also includes Warwick and Annie for example. To do this successfully, you're going to want to find 2 landmarks that you can successfully click on in a hurry. For me, I use the 2 triangular shaped rocks. On the top side, I know that I want to click on the very tip of the triangle, whereas on the bottom side, I know that I want to click on the leaf sticking up off the triangle. Once you find a consistent marker, this becomes super easy and can actually be really useful for getting you out of sticky situations. You could also use this aggressively. Imagine thinking you're safe at Wolves as the enemy Warwick is on your Raptors, only for him to walk through your towers unscathed, ready to hunt you down. And that's it for my top 10 tips of 2022. Thank you all so much for your support this year. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and any feedback is appreciated. Have a good 2023 summoners.